What's going on, Much Music? Sadé here, and last night Jackson Wang dropped his second solo album, Magic Man 2. This is a deeply personal work that was based off of diary entries that he wrote in a year that he took off. One of the first years the first year he's taken off since his debut with K-pop group GOT7 in 2014. So, I mean, leading up to this whole project, I guess a lot of you Jackies or Agase have been keeping up with everything that he's been posting about the album. There was this running joke that Jackson Wang is everywhere, like he was on a press run like no other, collabing with all these different influencers. He even did a press run in India, and that's just not somewhere a lot of pop idols go to promote, but he was just really passionate about the country and seeing it as like it lived like a local almost, you know? He's mentioned in many interviews, and I've been keeping up. I've been watching a lot of the interviews. I've been on his broadcast channel, been reacting to some of his music videos and the songs dropping. So in this video, I just kind of want to chat with you guys. Like, I want to go over, you know, what my expectations for the album was, kind of go through each song and summarize my thoughts, and maybe like you guys can follow along. Let me know if you agree or how you felt about the album, because again, it was a deeply personal work, and I think that's why I was so drawn to it, just seeing the way the rollout was. So going into listening to this album, I did expect that same transparency and raw emotion, but I feel like it still didn't prepare me for what I heard on this project. Jackson has described Magic Man 2 as an exploration of identity. The album touches on themes of betrayal, sensuality. He has a few songs on there for his parents and just his self-development and growth and healing. And he has a few dance songs on there too. Who doesn't like a dance song? There are 4 chapters to Magic Man 2: Manic Highs, Losing Control, Realizations, and Acceptance. He also did a post where he explained Manic Highs as manic highs fueled by denial. So it's like you can be in this like amazing state, but it's because you're not really facing the things that you feel deep inside. The album kicks off with High Alone, and honestly, this is I think this is my favorite track just because of the production around it. And also, I don't know, having reacted to it and seen the music video, I just connect to it way more. So in High Alone, if you guys watch the music video, it kind of starts off with him as Magic Man and it goes into him going on stage, performing for an audience, an unfeeling audience almost, that ends up watching him drown. No matter how much he's screaming and yelling for help, they just see him as entertainment and no one actually goes to save him. So it kind of goes into like the highs of the industry where it's like you get to perform, you get to put on a show, you get to be this light for people, but you're not really receiving that back, is what I got from that song. On Not For Me, it felt like he was reaching for a life that's just out of his reach. Like he can see it, he knows it's there, but he just cannot find his way to it. And in the outro, he says, "I've been floating in space, trying to find a place to be. Wasn't it supposed to be simple? Not for me." Listening to it feels like he's trying to reach this place or trying to find a space where he belongs, where he can feel that completeness, and he's not quite getting there. And this is a moment or like a time in his life that he just feels like, okay, well, maybe that's not in the cards for me. Like this, I'm kind of stuck here, but it's something he knows is out there. The next song is Access, and this song really did, like this was another one of those dancey, groovy songs, and it did remind me of like 2000s Justin Timberlake. I think if you guys are really listening to it, it does have accents of it at times, but it doesn't stay completely in that realm where it still is like a Jackson Wang song. And it does play into those themes of sensuality, like, girl, come over here, let me get some access. Can I get some access? Can I have it? So I really did like this song a lot. Now on Buck, this song came out a few months ago and it came out with the music video. And I don't know if you guys saw the behind the scenes for it, but it was really cool to see how involved Jackson was in the making of this music video. Even like him wanting to collaborate with Diljit. I think he said he saw Diljit perform at Coachella and he was like, man, this guy is an incredible performer. And he really just wanted to collaborate with him in some capacity. So I think he sent him a DM, sent him a message, got in touch with his people, and they made it happen. Them on this track just works so well. I think Diljit really put his own flair into it, and even though I have no idea what he's saying, I still think the groove is great. Watching the music video, even the dance moves are moves I'd never seen before. And again, it was like a video that I didn't start that video the same person as when I ended that video, because even coming into it, he comes in all dressed up, looking good, and then he just goes into this moment, like a fit of rage and chaos. And then the rest of the video is just so gritty and fun and groovy, and I just feel like those dance moves are things I haven't seen too often. Next we have GBAD, and I think this is one of the most talked about songs from the album, because he really gets into like, man, like if you are a Jackson Wang fan, you've heard the story of how he had a close friend of his that he really trusted this guy, and they essentially like messed with his finances and kind of betrayed him. We can see that this experience has really, really impacted Jackson. I don't know if it's just the one experience or if there have been several, but it put him in a place where he's just not sure who he can trust. Like, obviously he has people on his team and people who he's like, oh no, like these guys are like, would never do that, but he probably thought the same thing about this person. And even if he just did a Zane Lowe interview, and toward the end of the interview, he talks about the situation. He's like, oh, but this guy he's so nice though. Like, he's like actually such a nice guy. So I can't imagine like still almost defending this person and being like, okay, but their character at heart, like why the reason they were in my circles, because they're such a nice person, for them to go and then betrayed you. But I think that also shows that how greed, you really have to watch yourself with greed, because it can change the person who you are or the person that others see you as. And in the song GBAD, he goes, life is great, you just gotta be a dick sometimes. And that's the essence, like, yeah, you can trust people, you can have a good time or whatever, but you really have to put your foot down and set your boundaries in order to not be taken advantage of. The next song on the album is Hate to Love, and this one is also one of those ones that dealt with betrayal and trust. He seems to feel like he was betrayed or like he was let down, and he battles with, should he be able to trust again? Like, should he be able to love? And it plays really well into the next song, One Time, where he goes over a monologue, asking those questions like, should you still trust? Should you still love? And in the end, he does decide that he is down to do that. Like, despite how someone or how he was treated in the past, no matter how much that hurt and affected him, and all the ruminations he goes through in his head about the situation, that it's still worth it to continue to love and continue to trust, because, you know, honestly, who wants to hold on to those type of negative emotions? Like, it feels like he's trying to let go. And then at the end of the song, it sounds like he uncorks like a bottle and then falls. So I don't know if these were just like drunk thoughts. Maybe that's what he's trying to play to, but I do really hope there's more visuals, because his visuals are just insane. And I know, you know, he said if we get a tour, but I'm gonna say when we get a tour, I'd love to see how the stories kind of play into each other, because I know he wants it to be a cinematic experience. And so far with the music videos we have and all the little things, like the little tidbits he's been giving us, it feels like we're a part of the story, or at least that he's letting us into it. Now let me tell you guys about the song Everything, because this song I think tore me apart. The way he was singing he was so passionately singing this song. I felt like he gave so much to it that while I'm listening to it, I'm just like, wow, like I am hearing Jackson for real. In this song, it feels like he's really pouring out his soul, talking about being lonely, just maybe his darkest points, and just kind of screaming it into the void. But I know he's mentioned in another interview where he was like, the highest moments, even throughout his whole time with his with GOT7 and just being in the industry, was being on stage and performing and having that connection with the audience. So it's like, how do you bring that grandiose experience where you can only get on stage, only get when you're out there with the fans, and bring that into your sanctuary, bring that into the days you're alone, bring that into the days where you don't feel the best, where it's not like this very, very low. So I think that's kind of what I'm getting from a lot of the lyrics in this song and a lot of what I've heard him talk about. So it's kind of just such a parallel where he has these high moments on stage, in the lights, camera, whatever, but really behind the scenes, it's not, it doesn't feel that way. So I think he's just looking for somewhere where his behind the scenes just feels just as great as him being on stage and connecting with his audience. And you know, maybe that could be the reason why he's been so open with this album. Not only is it an album where he's doing a lot of the production and coming up with a lot of the ideas, even having the broadcast channel, I know he just started that this year, and then going on lives, like he's really trying to cultivate that connection with his audience more frequently and more every day. Now for the song Dear, there's not much vocals or lyrics in this one. I think he just has one kind of verse, but at the top and ending of the song, you hear, I'm guessing these are his parents, leaving him voice messages. I don't know if these are like conversations on the phone, but they are all in Cantonese or Mandarin, I believe. I'm not sure, but I don't know what they're saying, but I still thought it was really sweet that he included all these voice notes or all these snippets from his parents, I'm assuming. And he's spoken in interviews about he lives with his parents, and in the year off that he had, he was able to spend more time with them and kind of heal certain wounds. But he also talks about with parents, especially in Asian communities, it's really hard to express love with words. Just saying I love you is a huge barrier to get over. He says now that he says I love you to his parents all the time, but it took a while to get there. Now what's really interesting about these last 3 songs is if you read the titles, it says Dear Sophie Ricky, Made Me a Man. And Sophie and Ricky are his parents. So he kind of has that song dedicated to them and speaking to them like he's just so grateful for their influence and all they've done for him. I think everyone goes through that moment where you grow up and you realize your parents are actual people, where they're not just here to be your parents, where it's like before you got there, they had lives, they had loves before each other, they went out and partied, they made mistakes, and a lot of parents, I think a lot of the older generation, they maybe had kids young and really didn't know what they were doing, and they had a lot less than maybe you did. So it's crazy to think that they had a whole time in their life before you, and you get to that point where you realize, wow, like they actually made a lot of sacrifices to bring you into this world, or at least that's what Jackson is communicating. So even in the song, he says, how do I fill these shoes? The weight of all your sacrifices gave me a gift that's priceless. I hope I end up just like you. Could I put aside all my vices? I guess it's a roll of the dice. That's how he opens that song, and I feel like it's something that a lot of us can relate to when we think about our parents. So this song ends up just being him giving his parents their flowers and really appreciating them for all they've done for him. Now for the last song, Made Me a Man. This song, guys, if you watch the video, I know the video just dropped, but you have to go and watch the music video for that one. It starts off Magic Man, just dark colors in the background. He's walking through a field. And then we get glimpses of him in a field of pink flowers, which is such a contrast to how we usually see Magic Man. And it's just him going through all the trials and obstacles of life is kind of what I see being portrayed. And in the end, he ends up wiping off the makeup that is Magic Man. His eyes turn back to their natural color, and he ends up stripping off all his clothes in the end. And then we see him walk into this pink field of flowers, and when it pulls back into the wide frame, you can see he's actually taken off everything. So that whole identity that is Magic Man, he's essentially left behind and is going into a new era. So I think this is maybe the last we'll see of Magic Man, and we're gonna start seeing who Jackson Wang is as a healed person and as someone who's moving on from these lows in his life. Obviously, healing is a lifelong journey. So overall, I think Magic Man is, again, a deeply personal work. It feels like a confession, him really relinquishing everything that has held him back, because he's mentioned feeling that, does his fans really know who he is? Do they know Jackson for real? And I think this album is that. I feel like this is true artistry, but I'm really excited to hear what you guys thought of the album. Again, it was just something that I think makes you stop and think a little bit. There's no way you could go through this album and go through the songs on this album and not feel something you felt before. Like, he mentions a lot of humanity, and I feel like that's something I've taken from Magic Man 2, is that even, you know, the friend that betrayed him, the feelings of, you know, looking back at your parents and seeing all they've been through and all these things he's feeling. It's just a sense of humanity. It's all humanity. But honestly, I think there's just so much nuance and so many themes and so many parts to this album that I almost feel like I could talk about it all day. And I definitely think there's probably things that I missed, but it's gonna take a few listens. So Jackson, if you're listening, thank you so much for Magic Man 2. I think this album just shows, it's like a reflection. It is a reflection of humanity, and I think everyone can take away something from each song. While Jackson has said this album is for himself, I think in a way it is for all of us too. Let me know what you guys thought of Magic Man 2, one of Jackson Wang's greatest works yet, I think, and I'll check you in the next video. Peace out, much love.